gentlemen, welcome back to Game, the roundtable show that deals with games, arts, movies, electronics, and pretty much everything else. I'm your host, GQ. We're going to be talking about a very, very good topic. It's one that actually real dear to my heart. Best video game franchise of all time. What is the best video game franchise of all time? If you want to get in on the discussion, go to gameshowchat@gmail and email us. Leave your comments down there on the comment section below the video. And of course, you can follow us on Twitter @GameShowChat. To my left, I have Megashawn. To my right, the great Daidakuji. Gentlemen, game on. Let's get into this one. What's the best video game franchise of all time, in your opinion?
And that's going to be extremely hard because if I were to pick one of them, the one that made me a gamer to this day would be Super Mario Brothers.
Super Mario Brothers.
Super Mario Brothers, I remember sitting in my uncle's basement during a barbecue that everybody had. Everybody's outside playing, except for me. I was down there playing Super Mario Brothers, trying to get that guy to jump over that friggin' pit in the first level. You know, back in the day when you didn't have the coordination that you have right now.
Uh-huh.
Super Mario Brothers probably would be my most one that I hold dear to my heart, but when it comes to the favorite one, that's a huge. I mean, I can go through hundreds of games that I play, like Street Fighter. I mean, when it comes to the fighting games, Street Fighter 2, you know, I know you know the first time you saw Street Fighter 2 machine. I can tell you the first time I saw one, too.
I saw one at a 7-Eleven, not too far from my house.
Yeah.
Had to ride my bike to get there.
First time I saw it, I was at Ford and Tel, the drive-in, at the concession stand, and saw a group of people. People supposed to be watching movies, and they're crowded around an arcade machine playing Street Fighter, and I go, wow, this game looks awesome.
Now I'm gonna. I noticed you did this. I mean, that coordination thing. That I used to hate watching people that did that. I was like, stop, give me the controller. But let's move it over to Megashawn. What's one of your favorite video game franchises of all time?
One of my favorite. I would definitely have to go with Metal Gear.
Okay.
But I'm not, the happiest about this new cyborg subsidiary game. But
you're talking about Metal Gear Revengeance, whatever they want to call it.
Yeah, like I'm not.
It used to be Rising. Now they want to make it Revisionance or Revengeance or whatever. It's like just make it Rising. That would have been better.
Yeah. So I've got Metal Gear. I'm definitely in its brief existence, Gears of War. Halo, I enjoyed, but then it seems at some point they kind of let me down. Like I was so on board with Metal Gear, and then I have to deal with the cyborg and the sword, and then the espionage point of it is kind of gone. Because I remember, the guy could smoke a cigarette, or Snake could smoke a cigarette, and being able to run through, and just the whole imagination process of faking like you're dead. You open up the ketchup package while you're laying on the ground, and then the guard comes in. Like that had blew my mind because on Nintendo, I had never played Metal Gear. It was more Mario, Duck Hunt, Excite Bike. Those were the games that I had played. So to get to something like that and then play it when it went to some of the next-gen consoles was great for me. And then with Gears of War, but obviously, not a similar game, but just, those are some of the ones that I remember.
Okay, so it sounds like the innovation of Metal Gear is kind of what drew you into Metal Gear. It was a little bit different than a lot of the other games of the day. I mean, they were thinking of all these little intricacies in the game that a lot of games just kind of would, glance over, didn't even think about. It seems that you're picking a lot of the warlike games, and Jack Thompson might be trying to chase you down and sue you for possibly committing some violent crimes in the future.
Well, I mean, I commit all my violent crimes on television, via a video game. But there's just something about the action that gets me. Obviously with Gears of War, it's locust or some type of monstrosity coming at you. But just the fast-paced, in regards to the coordination that you had mentioned earlier, that's never been an issue for myself. That hand-eye is exceptional. But with Metal Gear and Gears of War, Madden, but I think with all games, money kind of starts to bring it down. And I think the innovation of Metal Gear is what made me a fan. But then that natural progression kind of also made me not as much as a fan, because instead of, the hard, Clint Eastwood, voice type guy, and he's, the Rambo
Look alike, pretty
Right.
much. Yeah.
And then he's
Okay.
that hardcore, and then there's this soft, angelic type guy with the sword. And I just,
But isn't that just kind of the extension of what usually happens with a lot of video games as far as the Japanese development for them, that more, I guess you could say, not as masculine, not as Arnold Schwarzenegger, bulky type guy is not as attractive to them. So they decided their protagonist for their games nowadays is going to be kind of this. We got Tidus from Final Fantasy Final Fantasy X, who just suddenly came in. When you had Cloud, Cloud was awesome. Cloud was, he wasn't rugged or anything. He was kind of a pretty boy too, but he didn't really take crap from anybody. He just kind of went in there and just did it. Tidus was all about his feelings, and it's like, well, so is that something that's happening in video games where we're seeing that you get in that touchy-feely type thing in our games when it kind of shouldn't be there?
I can't really say for myself because most of the games I play,
touchy-feely.
they're not really touchy-feely anything. I mean, if one of the games I'm playing right now is God of War. New God of War that came out. It's not really touchy-feely at all, but also it's a Western-developed game, and the guy is hardcore. He's man.
Well,
he's a man's man.
Kratos is in touch with his feelings, but all of his feelings are anger. So he
Rage.
rage and get in there and beat somebody down, which again, that's him. That's fine. It works for that game
That's one of my
franchise.
favorite
I will
series,
say
too.
that definitely would be one of the best.
Yeah, that series, when it came around, it blew my mind. That is how you make games nowadays, and it just seems like they're coming few and far between of original type stuff. Because I go to the back when I look for my favorite genre of games or favorite games, because those are stuff that started me now. And now I have a lot of games that I like to play now, like God of War, but they're not the same. I don't think like these games they're here with us now, but are they going to be here to stay? Like Super Mario Bros. I don't think Mario's going anywhere ever.
Well,
He's not grown up.
If Mario goes anywhere, Nintendo will go bankrupt because Nintendo only has, for the most part, they have Zelda, Mario, and Metroid, and that's kind of the extent. But I don't like Pokemon.
No,
I understand that there's millions of kids that do, but I don't like Pokemon. I don't want to catch any of them.
That some people couldn't consider Pokemon they're the best franchise ever, because if you think about it, Pokemon did kind of bring the Game Boy, the DS, the Advance, all that made those things popular. I mean, they sold more systems than almost anything out there.
And I'll give you that. I'll definitely give you that. There's one other franchise that actually somebody had kind of whispered in my ear that they liked from the PC realm of gaming was MechWarrior. Now, MechWarrior was one of those games where you just got in there and you were just rolling around in this huge, enormous robot and beating up other huge, enormous robots. So, I mean, and I even remember going to Chicago to Dave & Buster's, and they had a MechWarrior simulator where you could get in there in an actual cockpit and with multiple screens, and you sitting there playing MechWarrior, doing it big. And that was actually a really interesting type of game franchise that I think that really thrived on the PC, though, because, of course, you have your keyboard and mouse, all the different buttons you can lay out. You can't have a 32-button controller.
Yeah, you can.
Maybe
Atari Jaguar.
No, the Jaguar was a failure, though. Come on now, let's be realistic. Now, even though I have a Jaguar, I'm not gonna lie.
Have that, whatever that thing was.
Oh,
Or was
yeah,
that like
Steel
Steel
Battalion.
Steel Battalion
They
did
did
try
it
to
with
do
Steel
it.
Battalion.
Yeah, Steel
They tried.
Battalion did try to do it. The only problem is they ran into well, of course, at the time, a $150 game was ridiculous, even though Neo Geo had done it before. But now you look at DLC and downloadable content and all these other various little things coming in, you may as well call it that you're getting a $150, $170 game nowadays. But unfortunately, our time is coming to a close. Megashawn, thank you. Great Daddy Kuji, always a pleasure. Again, if you want to join in on the conversation, gameshowchat@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @gameshowchat. Leave your comments at the bottom of the video. Gentlemen, game over.
I can see into your mind. You like Castlevania, don't you?
Culture Junkies!